Moure could hardly contain his excitement at visiting his idol's home, unaware the kids had stowed away in the car's trunk. Yoko apologized for the mess and opened her door, only to scream in terror. The kids nearly fainted as everyone peered inside. The name of this case is Beware of Idol, and the hint for this case is ice. 3 days had passed since the night everything changed for Jimmy Kudo. Once a renowned teenage detective, he now found himself staring at the world from a much shorter height. His body shrunk to that of a first grader by a mysterious poison. Forced to adopt the alias Conan Edogawa, he took refuge in the home of his childhood friend Ran and her father, the hapless detective Richard Moure. His search for the man in black was proving to be more of a dead end, because of his only lifeline for information was a sluggish, middle-aged detective with a fondness for drink and idle singers, who barely managed to land a case. Conan's new life was a far cry from his old one. Instead of chasing criminals, he was stuck reciting multiplication tables with children, dodging their invitations to play tag. At Dr. Agasa's house, the kindly inventor watched Miss Ran with concern as she wandered the room, her face clouded with sadness, always asking for Jimmy to cheer her up and perhaps help Conan. Agasa unveiled his latest creation, a red voice-changing bow tie, capable of mimicking any voice, male or female, with uncanny realism. Meanwhile, at the Moore Detective Agency, the kids were running wild in search of Conan when the door swung open and a beautiful woman stepped in. Detective Moore was thunderstruck. It was Yoko, his beloved idol. Instantly, the bumbling detective transformed, straightening his tie and smoothing his hair. Yoko explained her troubles. A stalker had been sending her photos, making silent phone calls, and even rearranging her furniture. Desperate, she asked for help. Moore eagerly requested her address, phone number, and an autograph. As they prepared to leave, Ran and Conan insisted on joining. You know that Conan had to be there for the story to unfold, right? Outside Yoko's apartment, Moore could hardly contain his excitement at visiting his idol's home, unaware the kids had stowed away in the car's trunk. Yoko apologized for the mess and opened her door, only to scream in terror. The kids nearly fainted as everyone peered inside, stunned by the sight of a dead body. The police soon arrived, and the investigation began. Yoko described how, upon entering, she noticed unfamiliar furniture that seemed to appear on its own. The only eyewitness was Richard Moure, who, despite his past with the inspector, rarely solved the case thanks to his brilliant deductions. The room was stifling, the heater cranked to its limit. Conan, ever observant, pointed out clear signs of moisture on the floor and noted the ransacked state of the room, except for a chair that was deliberately placed. He suspected the high heat was meant to obscure the time of death. Moore, annoyed by the interruption, gets angry, while Conan tried to shift blame onto another kid, but still ended up with a bump on his head. In the end, the true cause of death was revealed, a knife lodged in the victim's back. When asked if the knife belonged to Yoko or if they knew the victim, Yoko and her manager Yamagishi stepped closer to inspect, but suddenly, Yamagishi slipped and fell onto the body. They both insisted they didn't know him. Yet Conan noticed something suspicious. Yamagishi had fallen on purpose and secretly taken something. As he tried to pocket it, the item slipped out, and Conan quickly grabbed it with his tiny feet. It was a hair, possibly the killer's. But why hide it? A murder in a locked room with no forced entry made Yoko the prime suspect. Moore, however, was quick to defend her. Look how beautiful she is, he said. Conan pointed out that everyone had a spare key, Yamagishi included. Could he be the killer? But Yamagishi claimed he lost his key 3 days ago, and they had even searched the house for it. Conan scanned the room and noticed something missing. Underneath the couch, he found an earring. The adults ignored him as just a kid, so Conan hatched a plan. Using his voice-changing bow tie, he mimicked a police officer's voice, declaring, "It's right. There is something here." The police found the earring. It belonged to Yuko, Yoko's rival, who was furious that Yoko had landed a movie role she wanted. Once again, Moore jumped to conclusions, blaming Yuko. They called Yuko in for questioning. She denied everything, arrogantly accusing Yoko of the crime and claiming she had never even been there. When shown the earring, she still refused to admit guilt, insisting it was a setup. She even taunted that Yoko's popularity would crumble if the media caught wind of the scandal. But when Yuko excused herself to the restroom, Conan's sharp eyes caught something odd. He tried to share his suspicions, but was ignored again. Upon returning, Yuko lit a cigarette using a statue, still denying any involvement. Conan challenged her. "If you've never been here before, how did you know that statue was a lighter? And how did you know exactly where the bathroom was earlier?" Suddenly, Yuko fell silent. Again, Moure points an accusing finger at Yuko, pressing her for a confession, but she stands her ground, refusing to admit to murder. However, she does confess to being in the apartment. She stole the spare key, hoping to dig up dirt on Yoko. While snooping, she claims a creepy man grabbed her from behind, but she managed to escape. The police finally identify the victim, Akaho Shifugi, 22, a Conan High School graduate, just like Yoko. Yamagishi, the manager, insists it's just a coincidence. But under the weight of suspicion, Yoko finally admits Akaho was her ex-boyfriend. When pressed, she clarifies that he broke up with her, not the other way around, so she had no motive to kill him. Now, Conan's mind races. Who is the killer? Yoko, Yuko, or Yamagishi? The pieces don't fit. He notices a dent in the floor, a messy room with a perfectly placed chair, the heater blasting, water pooled on the floor, and that mysterious dent. Suddenly, it all clicks. Moure, meanwhile, is fixated on Yamagishi, convinced the manager had motive. If a scandal broke, the losses would be huge. But Conan knows that's not right, though no one listens to him. As chaos unfolds, the largest of the kids wakes up, but Conan quickly puts him back to sleep. He was aiming for Moure. The ashtray bounces, knocking Moure out cold. Now, with his voice-changing bow tie, Conan takes over, speaking in Moure's voice. That's not it. Yamagishi and Yoko aren't the killers. Why would they bring everyone here without securing evidence or an alibi? That leaves Yuko, but she's not the culprit either. If she killed in self-defense or to frame Yoko, she wouldn't have admitted to meeting the victim. If every suspect is clear, then who did it? This case is more complex than it seems. Conan explains, when Yamagishi tripped, he grabbed a strand of hair from the body. But how the victim grabbed someone's hair if he is stabbed in the back? The killer wanted to frame Yoko. The real killer is the victim himself. The room erupts in disbelief. Has Moure lost it? But Conan lays out the riddle. A knife stuck on ice, pointing up. After cranking the heater, Akaho took hair from Yoko's brush, climbed onto the chair, and, with a deep breath, jumped onto the knife, back first. The ice shattered, the knife's handle dented the floor, and the stage scene was complete. But why did he kill himself? It's only a guess, but maybe he still loved her deeply. From behind, Yoko and Yuko look almost identical, so perhaps he followed Yuko, thinking she was Yoko. Yuko, startled, ran away, a last brutal rejection. Maybe it was the final straw for a desperate man. Yet, he was the one who broke up with her. At this, Yamagishi finally admits it was his idea. He made them break up for Yoko's career. Later, at his apartment, police found his journal, which proved Conan's theory. In the final lines, he wrote about wanting to tell Yoko everything, about wanting to be with her. So, this tragedy unfolded from a single lie and a misunderstanding. At last, Moure wakes up, greeted by praise from the detectives, while Conan is left exhausted by the ordeal. The kids, meanwhile, are a mix of happy, scared, and thrilled. Watching Yoko perform on stage, Ran is amazed by her strength. Meanwhile, she cannot sleep at night, haunted by thoughts of Jimmy. That night, Ran receives a call from Jimmy. He's still on the run, tangled in a complicated case, but promises he'll return soon. The next case is called Fish Marks the Spot, and the next Conan hint is a neon sign.